Welcome back to the Fellowship of the Gains, the show where fitness meets fandom and strength meets sanity.
I'm Andrew Dettelbach, and we're going to be diving deep into the nerdverse today.
That's right, and I am Jesse Grund, and we are first going to open with our nerd origin stories. So how did we become nerds?
What was your nerd awakening?
So I was walking down a dark alley with my parents, and a guy came out with a gun.
Batman story.
It was right after a movie. Both of my parents got gunned down, and then I realized that I had to be Batman. No, I actually. So it's really interesting is that both my parents, when I was growing up, they loved nerdy stuff. Even my mom did, and my dad was a huge comic book nerd. But his favorite character was Captain America. So his nickname was Captain America growing up. The dude had like #1 issues of stuff that he sold years ago that I really wish he wouldn't have. Otherwise, I'd be living very, very well. And so it was always a part of my childhood. It was always a big part. And my cousins were huge Marvel fans. So we would play superheroes all the time. And we'd battle each other, and I'd end up somehow being the weaker character because they knew more about the characters than I did. And the other thing that happened for me was video games became a part of my life very early on. So I'm part of that weird generation. I'm 43, 42, 43. And so I got to see Atari very little. And my mom bought me a Nintendo, and I had a Super Nintendo, and I had an N64, and I had a PlayStation. I've literally come up. I've watched where gaming's gone, as opposed to kids who are coming in today, and they're like, "Hey, cool! It's gaming is awesome. Look at all these renders." And I was like, "Yeah, I remember when Laura Croft had hexagonal shaped." You know what?
She's so nice.
You're like, I was like 14-year-old me, and I'm just like, look at Laura Croft's rendering. This is amazing.
It's
and she's
Croft,
just like triangle
bro.
and triangle.
No A.
Croft. Anyway, and so it was always a part of my life. And as I've gotten older, I haven't given that part up. My friends and I, we go to conferences all the time. We go to MegaCon. I actually cosplay as Batman. I've got 2 pretty legit Batman costumes. And that's a whole nother story for a whole nother episode. And so my son is now like doing it with me. Like he's got probably 4 different costumes he runs around in whenever he wants to. He's my Robin whenever I cosplay as Batman, which has been a really cool experience. And it's just, being a nerd is just a natural part of my life.
I want to cosplay as something. I haven't done that.
You could be from Elden Ring. It would be perfect for you, by the way. Let me solo her. Have you heard of this?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
So all you'd have to do is be shirtless and wearing what looks like a diaper,
yeah.
and then have a giant pot on your head, and you could be Let Me Solo Her. It's the perfect character for you.
He's so skinny though, right?
Yeah, you'd just be jacked. Let Me Solo Her. If somebody with the character rendering was just like, hey, let's make him 6'5" and huge. No, he's got 2. He's got 2 rivers of blood he fights with, I think. So yeah, that would be perfect for you. Let's do that.
That's fun. Well, I always grew up with video games as well. So I'm 34. We had an NES, and I had the N64, PlayStation, Xbox, PC. And so I started pretty early with Duck Hunt and Mario and Zelda, but got really into Red Alert, so RTS with my dad. I loved watching him play Quake and Doom. And then once I was old enough to really get into video games like wholeheartedly, World of Warcraft was my demise. I went hard for 4 years. From the time it came out, for just 4 years straight, I had 350 days worth of played time on one character. Not talking about all the other characters I had, and it was an addiction. Definitely. So I'm not on that level anymore. I've learned a lot from that experience. I think the one thing I really learned from it was the grind. I learned that if you grind really hard, you get a lot of really good stuff. You get to hang out with a lot of really good people. And that's what happened there. I was doing all the raids and stuff every week, and we crushed it. We became like server first kills and stuff like that in raids. It was really fun. Very challenging.
You know what's funny is I got into Destiny when it came out, and I played Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 and really enjoyed those games. I never got into the raids, and it was always because of the time commitment that I had to give to it. But what was really hilarious is I would routinely sit around and play like 4 or 5 hours worth of Destiny, but I was like, I don't want to sit down for what's going to be a 6-hour raid.
Well, exactly. So when you're in high school, like I was, when World of Warcraft came out, I had that time where it was like, all right, we're starting a raid at 7 p.m. It's going to go till midnight.
Sure.
And we're going to do that 3 or 4 days a week.
Yep.
And it was a job, and it was a blast.
Reminds me, did you ever see the South Park episode with World of Warcraft? Please tell me you've seen that episode.
Of course.
So great. It's just so perfect. It's absolutely so perfect.
It's an incredible episode. He's just like sitting there not getting up at all.
Oh, I do love video games. And it's interesting because I think the fact that I love games and I'm physically fit, take care of myself, and play sports at the same time, 20 years ago, that was counterintuitive. You either did one or the other, and I feel like we've kind of entered into this new age where people can be both nerds and jocks at the same time, which is really, really cool. Like we finally have, like, if you go find a pro athlete, and you will find out very, very fast that they are somehow a little bit of both. They always are. And it's really, really cool to see because you get excited about some of the stuff they get excited about. Heck, all the professional wrestlers that I've worked with have something they're incredibly nerdy about, which I think is really, really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. We, I guess growing up, like I was obviously played a lot of World of Warcraft, and my body just started to conform to the chair position. Like I was getting like rounded, I got overweight, and then we had a medical scare in our family, and that just like kicked us all into high gear. And that's when I started getting into fitness. And so just combining the two, I'd like work out for an hour every day, and then I'd go prepare for my raid and then do my raid. And I watched my body change, and I was feeling better, like because my back was hurting just sitting there. And so I realized that exercise counteracted the amount of sitting that I was doing.
It's funny, you go back and you watch the movies from like the 80s, like the Revenge of the Nerds movies, and they were either completely one or the other, right? You had the group of jocks, and these are, by the way, these are not movies that have aged well. Let me be very specific on this. They have not aged well. There's some stuff in those movies that's really terrible. So don't make it seem like I love those films. But going back to what we were talking about, the most important thing that I've seen is that those two cultures don't really exist anymore. Are there still some people who are not physically fit and just do nerdy things? Yeah, there are. Are there people who play sports and don't have anything to do with nerdy? Yeah, but I'd actually say the nerd jock kind of combination is way more prevalent now than it's ever been before. And it's just because I think a lot of nerd culture has become so much more mainstream now. Take the Marvel films. They made it mainstream. Harry Potter made it mainstream. Lord of the Rings really made it mainstream. And so I really do think that a lot of that becomes, it becomes a misnomer in regards. Are there nerds and jocks still? Sure. But is it okay to be a jock who loves nerdy things? For sure. Is it okay to be a nerd who takes care of themselves, works out, and plays sports? Absolutely. And I think that's really the generation that we've entered into.
I think it's wild. Like I see my stepkids, they're, middle school, lower school, and everyone plays video games, girls and boys. And when I was playing video games, it was just looked at as being like, you suck. Like I never talked about it ever. Right. It was just my hidden thing. I do this for 30, 40 hours a week, and like no one knows about it.
Well, it was because it was World of Warcraft. You were like, I don't want anybody to know that I'm so good at this.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I hid it all the time.
Did you see the World of Warcraft movie?
I did. I own it, and I don't like it, but it's fine. It's whatever.
All right,
could have done so much better.
This is probably the most difficult question I will ask you, but obviously you played a lot of World of Warcraft. Is that your favorite video game of all time?
So the experience that I had in that first year of playing it is something I've never experienced again in my life with a video game. I'd say that like God of War, Witcher, Cyberpunk. I mean, I love the entire Diablo series. The ARPG settings are really big for me. I love all of those experiences, but I've never felt that way like I did with World of Warcraft. Like just so enthralled with it. What was yours? What was your like peak experience?
So, being a huge Batman fan, the entire Batman, the Arkham series is peak for me,
It's
just
great.
because of the ability to be Batman in the city, and I platinumed all those games. I found every Riddler trophy. I did everything you could possibly do. I unlocked everything you could possibly unlock. And those RPGs that you mentioned, I spent a lot of time in as well. I'm on a third playthrough of Witcher 3 right now. I do think Elden Ring may be one of the peak RPG experiences, fantasy RPG experiences ever. I will say the game that I have the most hours in, so besides Destiny, which I think is just a little different, uh, Lord of the Rings, Shadow of War. I have so many hours in that game. So it was a Warner Brothers exclusive, or Warner Brothers put it out. They've closed all their studios now, but they had this really cool Nemesis system that was within it, which was really awesome. And I do have a very Lord of the Rings hot take from loving this game so much. I firmly believe that Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War were better storytelling than any of the Hobbit movies. And I don't think it's a stretch. I think those two games are some of the peak in universe Lord of the Rings storytelling. And I think it's amazing what they did in those two games. And I'm sad to see that whole universe died when Warner Brothers closed Monolith Studios. They closed it. And Warner Brothers, shame.
I mean, now
shame.
I need to go play them. I own Shadow Mordor. I played it for like 2 hours, and then I just never picked it up again. So I don't have an opinion about that.
Shadow Mordor was very linear storytelling. It was still open world in Mordor. Shadow of War, like literally, you are working together with Celebrimdor to actually not just take on Sauron, but convert his army over to you. So you're taking over castles in these huge battles, and it's all the same Batman combat. So it's almost the same as the Batman combat, which is amazing, but with a sword. So some really satisfying orc deaths in that game. And then you can like go after their sergeants and lieutenants and convert them over to your side. So you're building an army, and then you can build those guys up, put them in places of power, but then the other places come attack. Like literally, I would just boot up the game after I beat it, and all of a sudden one of my castles would be under attack, and I would have to go over and fight them. And it was amazing. I would just play like 2-3 hours of like, okay, which one's under attack? Okay, cool. I'm going to go defend that one, or I'm going to go take these guys out. And the battles lasted a long time. And it was peak. And like,
I can tell. I can feel it.
I booted it back up again recently. So I downloaded it on my PS5 and I booted it back up again recently. And it said that I had 424 hours of game time on that game, which when you look at the game should not have 424 hours on it. And I have 424
Like it's
hours.
a 40-hour game, but
it is. I played so much of it. Like 424 hours in Red Dead makes sense. 400 hours in a Lord of the Rings video game doesn't make as much sense. So, and I don't think I've played a bad Lord of the Rings game. I intentionally did not play the new game with Gollum because that looked terrible just out the gate.
that's hilarious.
Yes, it's high on my list just from like the storytelling. I could go on and on. I need somebody like Naughty Dog to just kind of get it from Monolith and like make a good game out of it. That would be just incredible. Just give me that.
Okay,
yeah.
I just want to play. We got the whole 100 men versus the gorilla thing going on. How many hobbits would it take to bring down an Oliphaunt?
Oh God!
With any method.
I don't think that. I mean, maybe like they're gonna be too drunk and high to actually do anything. Like,
what if they just made a huge feast, and it's just like, hey, dude. And they just, it comes, eats this feast, it gets sleepy, and then it's down. Any method.
I mean, any method. Yeah, I mean, if they're all just like blowing weed smoke at it, and then it goes down. Like,
its water could just be a ton of ale.
Yeah. I think my other big hot take for the film trilogy, and we can talk here in a second about representation of some of the characters from the literary to the film. But one of my big takes with the film trilogy is I feel like they're all great films. Don't get me wrong. I own the extended editions of them all. I love them all. It peaked with Two Towers. Return of the King is good. Don't get me wrong. Two Towers is the best film in that trilogy.
Two Towers is good. Don't get me wrong. Return of the King is the best film in the trilogy.
I can't. The reason I can't is because it's way more sluggish than Two Towers is.
Oh, so you have a short attention span, is what you're admitting.
I have a very long attention span. We just talked about the fact that I logged 424 hours in a game, and I play Elden Ring.
But those two things go against each other.
Elden Ring. They don't. They don't. Two Towers did such a good job of shifting. They told all of the stories really well, in my opinion. Return of the King told some of the stories well. I felt like Two Towers did a good enough job at giving everyone equal stakes at each point in the journey. I really did feel like that. I love Return of the King. Honestly, it's like debating, do I love, bacon wrapped filet or, sirloin that's black and blue with like butter sauce on top. Like, they're both delicious. I prefer the bacon wrapped sirloin. Give me my fat on top of my fat.
Well, your opinion's wrong, but whatever. So, okay.
You know what they all say about, what they say about opinions, right?
Tom Bombadil is the most powerful character in the Lord of the Rings universe.
Well, that's why they had to remove him from the movie. It just things would have been too easy if they had done it with Tom Bombadil in it.
So, for those of you that don't know, you haven't read the books, Tom Bombadil takes up like a third of the first book, and he's a jolly fellow, and he sings a lot, and he literally puts on Frodo's ring. He's like, "This is cool," and then just takes it off and hands it back to him. No one else has that kind of restraint. He's also just super powerful. He's a shepherd of a forest. He's apparently has a super hot wife, and
that's a superpower, by the way.
He's just I don't know. He's the goat.
I understand why they did it. They were trying to condense some of the storytelling that was associated with it. Because Tom Bombadil feels like who J.R. Tolkien wanted to be. Like, he put him in there because he's like, this is who I always wish I could be. I don't want to be Aragorn. I don't want that responsibility. I just want to be Tom Bombadil.
He's also just kind of cheesy. Like,
the
singing it would have changed. It would have changed.
Who do you cast? If you put him in the movie, who do you cast as him?
My first thought was Jack Black, but I don't know. That's not right. He's not tall enough, I don't think.
Hugh Jackman? And let him sing?
I mean, he's an excellent
song and dance man.
Yeah, he's great.
He's a song and dance man. I will say there are two characters in the films that I think they changed, and they changed super negatively in a way that was completely unnecessary. So first is Aragorn, which is kind of a hot take. I love Aragorn. I think Viggo Mortensen did an excellent job playing Aragorn. But they made him like super dark and broody in a way that I just don't think he really was. I think he was a hero in the book. And the whole idea of like, I don't want to be king. Keep the sword from me. I am not part of that lineage. I will not do. And in the book, he's like, nah, man, I want to be king. When do I get to be king?
So did you read the books first and then see the movies? Okay.
Yeah. So my mom was an English teacher. So I of course I had to read the books first.
So I did the opposite. I saw the movies first and then I read the books. I haven't read Return of the King actually. So for me, it was very weird to see him be like this arrogant, like I'm ready to be king. Like, it was a very stark contrast.
Yes.
And I didn't like it as much. So I think it just comes, which one did you experience first?
Yeah, and he's not hiding in the book. He's hiding his name by being Strider, just because he doesn't want to be found out, as opposed to him being Aragorn and hiding because he doesn't want to be king. Like, he doesn't want someone to come and make him king. They almost played Aragorn Batman-ish, which is like, I'm dark and broody, I'm Aragorn. I'm for truth and justice, but I don't want that responsibility. Don't make me king. Like that's not how he was. He was a very dynamic leader in the book, and I thought that they missed that opportunity. I don't know if it was the writing or who they got to play the role, because I think Viggo was brought on later on, if I remember the story of his casting correctly. And so like the idea is that you cast this guy who's kind of broody and mysterious to play Aragorn. You're going to switch the character over a little bit, which is fine, I guess. And it's great for the films, but they didn't need to do it. I didn't feel like they needed to do it.
Yeah, I agree. He doesn't have a very as commanding of a presence as he could, for sure.
No, when he becomes king, he's king because they're like, whoa, yeah, this guy is king. The other one is, and I know you haven't seen or you haven't read Return of the King, but they ruined Denethor. Like, ruined him. And we could do an entire episode on how they ruined Faramir, but we won't jump into that. But they ruined Denethor. So if people don't know who Denethor is, he was the steward of Gondor.
The tomato eater.
And I was just about to say, the disgusting tomato eater who's just going mad. And like in the book, he's a really competent leader. He actually pushes back Sauron's forces. He uses the crystal eye to look into.
The Palantir?
Thank you. I couldn't remember the name. He uses the Palantir to actually get information. He resists the evil pull and actually uses that information against Sauron. He has verbal debates with Gandalf, and actually puts him in his place. And Gandalf is also kind of misrepresented in the movie. It's not as drastic, but he's way not as talkative in the book as he was in the movies. But like they just made him this crazy tomato eating, sun hating, awful leader, and he was actually a really awesome leader in the book, and he was a good steward of Gondor. And I was like, why do you need to change that? I know we have a fixed runtime, but you made an extended edition. It's like 5 hours long. So why do we need to change that?
Storytelling, man.
I don't write these films, and Peter Jackson's awesome. Don't get me wrong. King Kong's not awesome, but Peter Jackson's awesome. I'm sorry. His King Kong movie was, bleh, I'm out. I'm good. Thanks though. And the Hobbit movies were just, I'm out. But, like, thank you, Peter Jackson, for this amazing trilogy that should stand the test of time, and no one should ever remake it. Are you hearing me, world? Never remake it. But, yeah, they ruined a character they didn't need to ruin. Denethor would have been fine being a strong leader who could verbally spar with Gandalf, who pushed back Sauron's forces. You had time to do that. Just do it. Just do it. I'm an expert at this. Just do it. But yeah, those are my
filmmaker.
Those are my two characters who just, yeah. I mean, I come from a family of filmmakers. My dad was an actor and filmmaker. My brother's an actor and filmmaker. My mother was off Broadway and in soap operas in New York. So yeah, I come from a Hollywood family.
So let's switch it up a little bit.
Okay.
What are some positive aspects of being a nerdy gamer in today's world? Because right now it's looked at as being this huge negative, people shouldn't be on video games, whatnot.
I think the hard thing is that games by themselves, we know from research, do a lot of good things for the brain, for hand-eye coordination, for reaction time. They have a positive impact on a lot of physiological adaptations in youth that are awesome. They can be really good. They can be good social constructs to be able to stay connected with people. We saw that during the 2020 times. I don't think I can call it the other times, so I'm just going to call it the 2020 times. So we saw that when everybody got locked in. Heck, my friends and I would just play Red Dead. And we did Red Dead Online, and we'd end up in a saloon, like drinking beers and playing poker in the Red Dead universe. And it was connection, which is really cool. I got to stay connected with people that I couldn't see, and I can still play games with my brother who lives in California, and I live here. So there's a lot of positive. The problem is that it requires balance in your life. And I
Yes.
think that's where the struggle starts to become where, I have a son. He's 6 going on 7. He has a Switch. We let him play it, but we manage his time that he's on it. We make sure he's still doing other things as well. And then we also make sure that his postures and positioning when he's playing are not going to cause long-term issues. So he doesn't play a Switch like this. We make him, if he's going to lay down, he props his arms up, or if he's sitting back, he props his arms up so the screen's right in front of his face. That's
Ergonomic. Yeah.
that is very much so. So I think it's tricky. I mean, you've got relatively older sons. Like, how do you guys handle that?
I mean, we have screen time for sure. There's nothing that close that they're holding, so they're using the TV or a computer, and I mean they'll be on like bouncy balls and stuff like that while they're playing, or sometimes the youngest one will just stand up and just like stand in the living room and play. But they're also super active, so
Yeah.
it's like if you're counteracting, like I said earlier, like I was kind of conforming to a chair. Like I'm not letting the kids play that much because that was ridiculous, the amount I was playing. Hypocritical, I guess, or just from my learning experience. But like making sure that they're getting their movement in, getting their strengthening in, their sports, and then they can do some gaming. But I mean, they've it's just cool to see them go from one game to another that has a very different ideology. Like right now they're playing MLB The Show, and it's just cool how now they're looking at like different stats and like doing a little bit more planning versus like Fortnite, where it's just hectic chaos, which is great for hand-eye coordination.
Right.
But the other one is more like strategic. So it's neat to see them gravitating toward some different stuff, because Fortnite's huge. Like once your kid gets into middle school, it's like, dude, everyone.
I'm hoping it's
everyone's doing
died down
it.
by the time he gets into middle school. He's asked me
We'll see, man.
repeatedly. So he's asked me. So obviously my son's 6 going on 7. He's like, Dad, when can I play Fortnite? And my answer to him was, we'll talk about it when you get a little bit older. And he asked me, he goes, why? And I think it's very important as parents to be as open with our children as possible for concepts that they understand. And it was just this, we put it in very simple terms. We said, there are a collection of people on there that are older than you that we don't think it's appropriate for you to be gaming with right now. And we'd like you to wait until you are older so that you can be safer in those environments. And he got it. He understood. He still gets to play games. I'm pretty sure my parents are buying him Breath of the Wild on Switch. That's his next game. By the way, the Zelda series is amazing. Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom I need to finish. I started it on Switch and I was like, oh god, I'm going to get wrapped into this game. I got to take a step back. And now I'm playing another playthrough of Elden Ring. But I'm wrapped up into games. But I do think there's a lot of positives. The top 3 for me positives are what we talked about, which is hand-eye coordination, reaction time. So understanding like the synapses and being able to read and react to things. We know that there's a direct carryover from that. We also have VR games now, so that require you to move in a 3-dimensional space, which takes all those things and puts it into broader motion, which I think is really cool. The third one, which I think is original for me, I think it teaches, especially games that are difficult, is how to overcome adversity. Because when you're playing a game, inevitably or hopefully, you're going to run up against something that is very difficult to beat and that is an incredible challenge. And it teaches the character aspects associated with how to overcome adversity. And that's one of the things that I've worked with my son when he's playing, Mario Wonder or one of the old Mario games. He's huge into Mario. And it's just like, he's like, Dad, I can't do this. Will you do it for me? And I'm like, nope, just keep trying. You're never going to figure it out until you try. And he gets it. And I've watched him become this more resilient person who can overcome adversity. And I think that's a completely underrated aspect of gaming.
I also can be a great stress reliever and just a great way to get play in, because we do need some play to recharge. And I think, as Brene Brown said, like if your play doesn't consist of just like complete freedom, like you don't have an end goal in mind, then that is considered play. But if you feel like you're trying to achieve something, then it kind of starts to turn into work again. So it is making sure that, like, if you are doing your play and you just got off an 8-hour shift and you go do this game and you feel like you're still working, then that may not necessarily be recharging for you.
Yeah, 100% agree. For me, there was 3 years early on in my life where my parents were separated and it was just me and my mom. And so video games were kind of that extra parental figure for me, because I had a little brother and she'd be taking care of my little brother, and Mario and I are running through and going through warp tubes. And I think I spoke to a therapist about this one time where he was like, well, let's talk about why you game. And I explained it to him, and I said, this is my way of kind of disconnecting and adjusting. And I just remember using it as a stress reliever, where if something's outside of my control, I feel like if I game, that's within my control. And it's a huge benefit for me. I come back out if I'm anxious or angry or something like that, I come back out much more level. And I remember my therapist looking at me, goes, good, keep gaming. You have a healthy habit that's associated with it. And I was like, wife, did you hear him? He said to keep doing it. I just don't disappear for like 8 hours at a time unless everybody's asleep. So, it's much different now, but I still do it. And I think I'll do it until the day I die.
So to finish on a physical aspect, what is one nerdy thing that you would put in your gym bag?
Oh, what nerdy thing would I put in my gym bag? So, shout out to the apparel company Super X. Love their stuff, by the way. I know they're not a sponsor. I just love their stuff. They are
You can be a sponsor if you want.
You can,
I don't know who
if
you
you
are,
want to.
Come on.
You got to check out Super X. Love Super X. And I would put one of their hoodies. Now, I have 3 hoodies from them. 4. I have a Power Ranger, White Ranger hoodie. I have a Deadpool hoodie. I have a Wolverine hoodie. And I have a Batman hoodie. And I would put one of them in my gym bag. I like working out in sweatshirts. Unlike you, I'm the opposite. Like, I try and work out in as much clothing as possible.
You're in Florida, too. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I like sweating, man. I really like sweatshirts when I work out. So I'd probably put my Super X Deadpool sweatshirt in there. It's one of my favorites. It's even got the swords that go across the back. It's really cool. And then the little Deadpool thing on the front. But yeah, if I'm just in my gym bag, something that fits in there, my Deadpool hoodie sweatshirt.
This one doesn't exist, but I would have a still suit in my gym bag from Dune. Because just, then you don't have to stop for water. You're just constantly recycling your fluids. Like, that is the most obvious thing that anyone should have in their gym bag.
And on that note, thank you for this episode. No, I'm just kidding. If we're talking about imaginary things, then obviously it's a totally different thing, all right? That's actually, besides the gym bag, if you could have one item from any nerd universe, one item, what would it be?
The still suit.
That's it? That's the still suit? That's it?
Yeah.
How is the answer not lightsaber? How is it not lightsaber?
How am I going to work? What am I just going to spin around and cut things with no resistance?
I mean, listen, I said not in a nerd gym bag. From any universe, for any reason, I say lightsaber.
Wait. You're just saying having a thing?
Yes.
The ring from oh my God. Why can't I remember that terrible movie?
The heart ring from Captain Planet?
No, the Green Lantern. Like, that thing's sweet.
You like Green Lantern ring? Yeah.
Whatever.
Will, you can make what you want from Will. Yeah, that makes sense. I'd do that. I'm so fascinated with having a lightsaber, man. Just give me a real working lightsaber. Like, the physics on it does
that.
The physics on it doesn't work, but it would be incredible.
This light beam is going to end right here.
Right, exactly. It's a beam of light. Somehow we have it contained within this sphere right here. It's going to stop right here. And by the way, it's so hot, it cuts through things and cauterizes them immediately. What? How is this? What? What's happening?
Our producer just said until you drop it and it just goes through the earth.
Yeah. Oh, just straight through and keeps going. Just straight through and keeps going. Yeah, that's... Yeah. That's... man... I mean, of course I want the bat suit, but I don't have his skills, so I can't do anything with it. And I want Iron Man's suit, but I don't have Tony Stark's brain. So, you know, I feel like those things would be difficult to use. I feel like a lightsaber, just turn it on, somebody breaks into your house, boom. You know, flambe.
Yeah, I mean, along with everything in your entryway, but I think it might be more destructive than a shotgun.
Oh God. Probably, I feel like it'd be very, very high up on the ladder of destructiveness. Probably to myself as well. I do think, you know, what's funny is people get upset about like violations of physics in like the Star Wars universe. Like,
It's
I
a
think
fantasy film.
it is, but like in the recent TV show that was not well received. I don't want to say its name because I don't want to get in trouble from their fans, but there were like explosions in space and like space firefighters who were putting out fires in space. And
That
I'm like,
happened, and
yeah,
I'm fine with
yeah.
there being explosions in space, although it's not possible. But
right.
the firefighter part's a little.
Like, what's the number one thing the fire needs? What's the number one thing that's not in space? You could figure that out, couldn't you? You would.
All the sounds too. I'm like the TIE fighters like flying through space. I'm like, there's no sound there. It sounds cool, but like, but also the best sound in the world when Boba Fett is like dropping those mines through that asteroid field.
Yeah.
It's the coolest sound ever. Wouldn't exist.
It wouldn't exist. Absolutely not. I feel like we could do like a whole series of episodes on like, this is really cool, but it wouldn't happen because, you know, I think superhero powers is a really cool way of thinking about that. Like, for instance, how much food would Wolverine need to eat in a given day if he was like, where is he regrowing tissue from? Like, he just regrows tissue?
I mean,
like,
he technically ate 2 chickens a day to build his physique. So, also, I don't think it was. I need to correct myself because this is a nerd podcast. I think it was Jango Fett, not Boba Fett, that had those.
Oh yeah, it was Django. Yeah, it was Django. Yep. The nerd. Oh man, you're in trouble.
So many people were just
They're
like
coming for you.
They're
already coming. They're already in the comments coming for you right now.
But they just got corrected, and I corrected myself, and that's
like,
okay. You can do that.
Like, hot take. You know who the most OP character is ever? It's the Flash. He's the most OP character ever. Like, when you think about what he could do, like, if he's fighting Superman, he could just go back in time and kill Superman as a baby and then come back and then everything's different.
The most OP character ever is Dr. Manhattan. Hands down, from watching.
No, except Flash can run back in time and kill Dr. Manhattan as a baby.
Yeah.
He can.
But now we need to talk about the physics of time. Is it linear? They're like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't.
Stay tuned for another episode on the Village of the Games podcast.
And I listen to a lot of physics podcasts, but I'm not ready to go there.
But I mean, like, think about how much. What's the Flash's intake of food in a day? Like, is he just like? Does he have like just like a catheter going into his stomach that's providing food all the time?
Oh, man. Our producer just hit us with the most massive amount of content to say right now. I'm like, what?
You know, you're not supposed to say that, right? You're just supposed to read it.
We can be authentic, I feel. Like, why not? Like, people could just know, it's like, what is it like to be behind a podcast? Like, oh, man.
Producer guy in the background. Producer guy. Well,
his name is Master Kevin.
Master Kevin. He has cued us that we have come to the end of our journey.
Wait, I know that we're supposed to stop, but who's the best Fellowship member in Lord of the Rings?
Oh, the easy answer is Sam.
I agree.
That's the easy answer. And so let's just go with Sam. It's hard to really think about anybody else. I think the character with the greatest character transformation is probably Gimli, because he's just like this grumpy ass dwarf, and by the end of the movie he's like this loving, wants to hug people, has a best friend who's an elf type character. I think he has a huge transformation as a character. And shout out to John Reeves Ions. How do you pronounce his? No, he's alive. He's definitely alive. He's alive. He's
I'm
awesome.
sure.
He's alive. Yes, he's alive. He's awesome. But shout out to him because he did such a good job in those films. But I do think he has the biggest character transformation from the beginning to the end. But Sam's probably the best character. He has no fighting skills whatsoever at all. He does the most dangerous stuff. He shows the most amount of bravery. And he ends up getting the girl at the end.
And having 13 kids. He becomes the mayor for 7 straight years.
Dude was legit awesome. So, I mean, my favorite character, like, people are like, who's your favorite character? I was like, well, Legolas was my favorite character when I was younger. So, you know, because he was an elf and he had a cool bow and arrow. And Orlando Bloom did an amazing job. But, yeah.
He gets on horses in weird ways that don't make sense.
That flip where he goes underneath and ends up...
reverse. Right.
It's riding by him, pop, 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 grabs it, flips onto it. That's, again, why Two Towers is the best movie in the trilogy. All right. That is it for today, guys. Thank you for joining us in the Fellowship of the Gains. I think we proved again that lifting heavy and debating space physics can coexist in the same podcast.
Yeah, that's true. And if you laughed, learned, had some fun, got angry at some of our takes, do us a favor. Smash the subscribe button and like our video. Thank you very much. Give some 5-star review.
I like 5-star reviews. Seriously, it helps more than you know. The algorithm is basically Gollum. And it just hates all of us and wants to take the ring away and wants to do its own thing. So we don't like Gollum. We don't like him. But your support is tremendous. So we thank you for that. Until next time, stay strong, stay nerdy, and remember, stay in the Fellowship. Peace.